Welcome to Ohio's BIOS, an insight into local government here in Ohio. I'm David Thomas and serve as County Auditor for Ashtabula County in Northeast Ohio. Local government impacts each of us every day, but how much do we really know about the organizations and the people who make everyday life possible? Join me as I speak with the leaders in local government making a difference in our communities every day. Thank you for tuning in to our 5th episode of Ohio's BIOS. If you missed our last podcast, definitely listen in as I spoke with Geneva City Council President Mario Butera about his time on council and the budgeting priorities a small city will have when weighing infrastructure with public safety and really everything in between, as we heard. Now, for this episode, if you weren't up on your National Week highlights, this week, March 1st through March 7th, is National Weights and Measures Week. President John Adams actually signed the first U.S. weights and measures legislation into law back on March 2nd, 1799. That's a long, long time ago. And every year since, we take this week to commemorate the legislation and the great work that Weights and Measures does. As John Quincy Adams so aptly put, weights and measures may be ranked among the necessities of life to every individual of human society. So, why, as County Auditor, am I so excited for National Weights and Measures Week? And why was President Adams correct with his quote on the importance of weights and measures? It's simple. Ask yourself, what life would be like if you went to the gas pump and filled up your tank but had no idea how much gas you actually bought? Or what that gas cost you for your tank per gallon? Or worse yet, because I love ham salad, and maybe you do or maybe you don't, but imagine going to the grocery store, asking for ham salad, and getting whatever container the store had at a price per container that you don't really know how much you got, or not having certainty with that price, maybe per pound or per ounce. Ham salad aside, of course, especially if you don't like it, our society revolves around the idea of certainty in measurement. There isn't too much certain out there in the world, but right now, measurement of food, gas, train car containers, trucking weight, and so much more in Ohio is certain. And it's the responsibility of those measurements which falls to the Department of Agriculture. Now, that's not too unique across the country. Many states have their state Department of Agriculture ultimately responsible for weights and measures. And, it kind of makes sense, right? That Department or Commerce idea of being responsible at the state level. What is unique, though, is that in Ohio, each county auditor's office serves as an agent of the Department of Agriculture in fulfilling this duty. We're really the boots on the ground for testing and for enforcement. Every county auditor is tasked as the official sealer of weights and measures for his or her county. Now, what does this actually mean, though, in all practicality? Well, bring it down here to Ashtabula County. We have Jim Varquette. Jim has been with the office now 30 years, longer than I've been alive, and is our longest continually serving employee. Jim has one of the most powerful and influential positions in an auditor's office, the power to close down a pump, issue citations, and independent of me, give cease and desist orders to private sector businesses on behalf of our office for non-compliance of our weights and measures policy. That's really, really serious stuff if you boil it down. Because a weights and measures program is a direct consumer protection arm of the government. Following state standards, the auditor tests a variety of commercial scales and uses that to ensure ultimately that you, the consumer, get what you pay for. Nothing more, nothing less. For Ashtabula County as reference, our one weights and measures staff member is responsible by state law for testing 1,359 gas pumps. That's a lot of gasoline. That's every pump, every year, every pass test. For regular gas, this involves Jim using a tested 5-gallon container, which is accurate to the cubic inch of gasoline. He'll pump 5 gallons per type of fuel, so that's 88, 87, 89, that type of thing, 93, and ensure that the calibration is accurate within 6 cubic inches or 3.3 fluid ounces. That is not much at all, let me tell you. And if the pump is correct, as really more than 99% are, Then he places our seal on the octane number and dumps the gas right back into the ground tank. If it's not within that tolerance, though, that 3.3 fluid ounces, well, there's a couple options. He may either inform the store that they must recalibrate within 2 weeks, or if it's egregiously off, let's say about 9 times off against the customer, he will shut down that pump until retested. So in this case, if you can be off by 3.3 fluid ounces, really that's 9 fluid ounces that we'd be looking at, or about three of the ability to be off, for example. Now, while this is rare, it does happen. And a similar process happens, though, for diesel, for DEF, compressed natural gas, and high-flow diesel, with just different tolerances and the type of equipment that we use to test it. This job for gas pumps alone is huge. Again, Jim does every gas pump, every octane, every year. But that is just one piece of the weights and measures portfolio. We also have scales. And that's grocery store scales, meat processor scales, train and highway scales, and even the Ashtabula County Fair scale too. These scales are tested yearly as well, based on the type of weight that they are built to hold. A few pounds, maybe, all the way up to several tons of weight. For grocery store and deli scales, the process works similar to when Jim does our gas pumps. He visits about 28 or so stores in Ashtabula County to do hundreds of these small scales. If one is beyond the threshold, depending on the level of weight, so for example, a 30-pound scale can be off just about a few ounces, actually. It's not much at all. He'll either flag it or shut down the scale until it's fixed. Imagine at the deli, if a scale was off by even, say, 2 ounces. Over time, that really adds up quick. We also do 21 vehicle tank meters for things like propane tankers and 6 liquefied petroleum gas trucks too. So as you've heard, the consumer arm and protection arm of the auditor's office is not just involved with property taxes or county fiscal policy, but in the daily lives of anyone who shops, buys gas, or enjoys safe roads. But in addition to all of these things, as I've mentioned so far, which you may have been aware of based on our seals on those local scales that you see or the gas pumps, there is one other responsibility of the weights and measures role which nearly no one knows about, and that's the price check. Each year, Jim travels to local grocery, convenience, big box, and small business stores to do price checks. You may have heard the news recently about issues surrounding Dollar Generals in Ohio. These were discovered by auditors' offices and our weights and measures departments. Those are largely down in southwest Ohio, around Dayton, for example, Columbus, Franklin County, Hamilton County. Thankfully, we've not had that issue up here. But how it works is pretty simple. So at Walmart, for example, Jim will walk around with a store employee and first check that meat and store wrapped items are correctly priced by net weight and with the packaging not included in the weight. Walmart wrapped chicken thighs, for example, should never be sold by the thigh, but per pound of chicken weight. Then he'll go around and randomly pull 50 items from different departments to check and price check the advertised price is the correct price that gets rung up at the register with that label gun. If the store fails at 2 items for those 50, he pulls another 50, and they can't fail anymore. This makes sure that the price that you see, the price the store is saying is the amount, is the price you're actually paying back at the register. Now, thankfully, in Ashtabula County, like I said, Dollar Generals really haven't been a concern, or to be honest, really any store. In other parts of the states, though, auditors have seen the Dollar Generals fall well below that threshold that they have to pass. Some have even failed over 50% of their items, which is really crazy. So think about not having certainty with your prices at the store. All of these efforts isn't, of course, to say that sometimes stores will make mistakes or there's mechanical failures, for example, with pump calibrations. Our testing, though, is one point in time, of course. But we do these yearly tests to stay as current as possible. And one other perhaps important aspect, we do not test quality, only quantity. We cannot tell you if that chicken you buy is good, or the gas is the correct octane and not overfill with water. We can only certify that the amount you buy is what you paid for. So this program is so important to our taxpayers every day, saving likely hundreds of dollars for them. But many don't even know it exists, or to the extent it exists. All they see is that small little seal on the side of a gas pump or a scale in the grocery store that says checked and approved by the county auditor's office. We have passion in auditors' offices for service. Jim's work and the work of the other 88 county auditors in the Department of Agriculture is just another example of the behind-the-scenes work local governments do to serve people. Recently, I enjoyed spending the morning with Jim at a Giant Eagle here in Ashtabula County, where a real example of this work was shown to me pretty quickly. He randomly picked an in-store made container of chicken salad, and the weight on the package said 1.11 pounds, and the price was based on that weight. When we weighed the container, though, the weight said 1.11 pounds. Now, the problem, of course, you, the consumer, were being charged for the weight of the container, the tare weight, as it's called, was not taken out of the price weight, which it should have. You were paying for both the chicken salad and the container when you should have only been paying for the chicken salad. We went over to the deli and behold, an employee made a mistake on the chicken salad, using the incorrect scale, which did not take out the tare weight. That difference of 5 ounces resulted in 50 cents being overcharged to the customer. Now that may seem small, but added up, and imagine if the problem wasn't caught. It really becomes large fast. Ultimately, this is another great example of the simple fact that local government really is looking out for you, here to serve you and provide protection with our duties. National Weights and Measures Week is awesome because the service of local government professionals is really a great one. And this is the perfect example from here in Ashtabula County and across Ohio and all of our 88 counties. The role and the service that we provide to you, with many not even realizing it. I hope the next time that you stop at the gas pump or maybe you shop at your local grocery store, you take a little time to think about all the work that was put in to make sure that what you're paying for is actually what you're getting. Check out the weights at the deli, for example, or make sure that you can see the amount of calibration there on the gas pump. Even as you're driving along the highway and a large truck is stopped at a highway scale, that scale is certified by your local county auditor's office, looking out for you. Something just to think about as you're traveling along and going about your daily lives.